나 약대가 그거야. 나는 뭐라.
ちょっと早く来てくれます。女の人足バンバン叩かれてるんですよ。
こいつら車内でこんな足組んでから注意しただけやん。
The lives of Japanese women are shaped by a complex web of cultural expectations, societal pressures, and traditional roles that many outsiders might find surprising. Their experiences reflect both the modern and historical influences of Japanese society that remain a mystery to most. These are the 10 things Japanese women do not want you to know. Number 10. Tattoos are taboo. Ink equals rebellion. If you love to carry art around on your body, then thank your stars you're not Japanese. This is because generally, the Japanese are not friends with the ink. And if you take your time to ask around, most people would give you answers related to a gang called Yakuza. Yes, Yakuza is a criminal gang known to be involved in several criminal activities from gambling to racketeering. But would you be shocked to realize that Yakuza has also been helpful to communities in times of a terrible disaster, like a tsunami? They have helped out in getting people to safety, which makes it almost impossible for the Japanese to cancel them. However, they remain a criminal gang that no one wants their children to emulate. Although tattoos are what identify most Yakuza members, not everyone wearing a tattoo is a gang member. Around 1948, some non-gang members embraced the idea of wearing tattoos, which in a way made it seem like a general thing. Notwithstanding, once anyone sees you with a tattoo in Japan, Yakuza comes to mind. Now, this is where it becomes worse. Being a tattooed woman is unacceptable. This is because the Yakuza gang doesn't recruit women into their fold except Nishimura Mako, the woman who worked her way to the highest rank of the gang. She had her body tattooed up to her neck and hand, with one of her fingers cut off. Nishimura had a reign of terror in Japan. And after her reign, no other woman has ever joined the Yakuza except the wives of the gang leaders, who only take on minor roles in the organization. Now you see, any woman with tattoos will automatically be labeled as another Nishimura and considered dangerous and rebellious. Number 9. The pressure to stay silent, cultural expectations of femininity. While you're free to say almost anything in your country, Japanese women have a different reality. Before you can be heard in Japan, your gender is a big factor. And it doesn't matter what you have to contribute. If you're a woman, you should remain silent and listen to the men. No doubt that sounds crazy. But what's even crazier is that Japan ranks 121st on the world's Economic Global Gender Gap Index. Can you imagine a country as developed as Japan shutting up its women because they are biological females? Even worse, the very few allowed on very few board meetings were only allowed to submit their opinions via letters or mail to the authorities for review. As much as this sounds like something out of an epic historical film, it was evident in February 2021. Tokyo Olympics chief Yoshiro Mori mentioned that women are talkative and claimed that they would drag on meetings if they were allowed to speak. A 22-year-old student named Momoko Nojo started an online campaign against his remarks. Eventually, the campaign gained traction and led to the resignation of Yoshiro. In the end, a sportswoman replaced him, but that only made a tiny difference in Japan's discrimination against women. Even as we speak, a majority of women are still silent, even in their homes. What the tradition says is that women have to be totally submissive to their husbands and do as they are told. They cannot have opinions or even objections. All they have to ensure is that the home is well kept, the family members are well fed, and the children are well nurtured. A lot of women are unhappy about this, but they are powerless in this case. Now, they look up to feminists who are on the move to take the locks off of the voice of the Japanese women. Number 8. Extreme modesty. Long sleeves in summer. Let's not talk about summer. Whether it's spring or fall, Westerners show their sleeves and even beyond whenever they want. So far, they can handle the weather. But in Japan, it's not the same. Japan is known for its rich culture and amazing traditions. And one aspect that has always fascinated everyone from across the world is the dressing. For men, it's just the usual trouser and shirt in the modern world, but when it comes to women, it's far more than what you think. This clothing culture stems from the Japanese traditional clothing, which allows women to be elegant, graceful, and at the same time, all covered up. You must know about kimonos and its origin, being the most iconic garment of the Japanese worn by both men and women. However, the design of kimonos for women is different from that of men, involving several layers of clothing, including an undergarment called a nagajuban, which acts as a base for the kimono. Once the kimono is on, it is secured by a wide belt known as the obi to create a beautiful silhouette. If you know anything about the kimono, you must know that even with different variations and styles, the kimono is never short and can be as long as 114 centimeters in length. These days, no one wears a kimono everywhere, at least not to work. But still, Japanese women cannot wear skirts above the knee or tops revealing their chest area or short sleeves. It doesn't matter what the weather says, a Japanese woman is not allowed to expose any part of her skin. And to crown it all, they can't even wear pantsuits, but skirt suits in modern times. In choosing their footwear, they must go for low-heeled or flat shoes, complemented with purses and jewelry that are not eye-catching. Makeup, you say? They also must follow the trend of embracing modesty. And lastly, they must be careful of their scent. If you're the type that loves to bathe in perfumes and colognes, sadly, you have to throw them away as a woman in Japan. Wearing perfumes and other types of deodorants is considered very inconsiderate, and you may be perceived as rude, especially if you're in an enclosed space with men where they can't escape from your scent. Number 7. Marriage pressure is real. The Christmas cake phenomenon. If you're a happy and single 30-plus-year-old woman, you're not Japanese. This is because once you're above 25 and still single as a Japanese woman, you're considered a Christmas cake. Of course, the cake is something pleasant, with some parts of the world referring to most sought-after women as a hot cake. However, being called a Christmas cake in Japan is nothing pleasant. Here's the gist. Christmas is a beautiful period in Japan, and there are usually so many cakes to go around. However, after December 25th, no one desires these Christmas cakes. Because Japanese women are traditionally expected to marry at a young age, the unmarried ones at the age of 26 are referred to as unsold Christmas cakes. No matter how much you think about it, it is a double type of insult to these women. And here's why. The majority of the Japanese don't celebrate Christmas, which makes it sound like a leftover from another country. But when it comes to an unmarried man of the same age, he is only referred to as an old schoolboy. It's even worse when the woman is above 31 years old, as she will be called New Year's noodles, meaning nobody wants them after 31st. Before civilization, the older women of about 35 years of age even had men sweeping the entrance of their homes to mock them, while the 40-year-old women were made to ride a horse in mockery. Honestly, at this point, we can't even say which is better. Is it being reduced to stale, crumbling formations of flour and sugar, or stale, seasoned spiral flour? According to natives, these practices have been significantly reduced as women now stay unmarried for longer, but in reality, the pressure on these women is still very real. Number 6. Subtle social control. The power of politeness. Just as women are not allowed to speak up anywhere around men, they also cannot make certain decisions. And talking about decisions, they cannot be in a position of power to rule or direct a group or people. Shockingly, according to history, a lot of female emperors have ascended the throne before modern times, but now women are legally not allowed to do so. It is so bad that the Japanese royal family is currently trying to continue their lineage because they do not want an heiress, but an heir to the throne. However, this has even gotten to the political parts of the nation where women are not allowed to lead political parties. As if that was not enough, Japanese politics does not in any way favor women as they lack protection and encouragement in every sphere of life. If you look through the records, Japan will mostly seem to you a safe country for women, as there are 1 in 15 reports of sexual assaults. But sadly, that's not true. Another study found that at least 95% of women do not report these crimes to the authorities. This is to avoid the overall negative stigma that surrounds reporting such. This issue can only be traced back to the Japanese culture that had taught women to heavily practice a sense of silence when it comes to shameful acts like assault. But that's not the only reason. The Japanese authorities also work on the reports in a way that makes the victims stop seeking justice for themselves. There have been reports of victim blaming and excessive interrogations in most cases. Because Japanese culture loves harmony, women tend to suppress their opinions without expressing themselves for the sake of maintaining peace in society. This, in turn, forces women to conform in any circumstance. Number 5. Beauty standards. Pale skin and delicate features are key. Although Japan's traditions and culture do not allow women to do much when it comes to fashion, they have their own beauty standards. Throughout Japan's history, one timeless beauty standard that remains common is the pursuit of healthy skin. No matter what you do, if your skin is not pale, no one will consider you beautiful. This idea was shaped by cultural beliefs that linked light skin with higher social status. It is also linked with a lifestyle of indoor leisure in the absence of sun and manual labor. Although the desire for fair complexion has changed with global impact, there is a need for clear skin. Women focused on skincare routines that prioritize hydration and protection from environmental factors. In the past, Japanese women used the help of a white powder called oshiroi to achieve light skin. In addition, the women removed their eyebrows and redrew them. They also flaunted long hair and applied a red pigment derived from safflower to their lips, a practice you may have seen in Asian movies. However, this practice didn't continue for so long as it declined with the onset of Westernization. As more women joined the workforce between 1912 and 1926, they let go of white skin and focused on a natural skin tone. They began to focus on enhancing the skin's natural beauty by embracing different shades of makeup. However, it became worse when the Western beauty industry started to enter the Japanese market. This led women to cosmetic surgery, such as double eyelid surgery. Similarly, another beauty standard is the preference for slim body figures. You see, this didn't start today. It was greatly influenced by the kimono, which obviously favored the slender ones. This beauty standard has remained timeless, as Japanese women still do everything to have a slim figure. However, beauty standards are a little different today. This is because more women are now happy with their looks, embracing youthfulness and a cheerful attitude. Number 4. Gender inequality in the workplace. Glass ceilings abound. As mentioned earlier, the gender inequality of Japanese women started a long time ago. However, it is not limited to freedom of speech, but extends to the workplace. Largely, Japanese women are encouraged and expected to be full-time homemakers whose only job is to raise kids. Considering that Japan is one of the most developed countries in the world post-World War II, it is largely unexpected. As the words of the Olympics chief Yoshiro about women got media attention in 2021, he apologized and even resigned. This made everyone believe that he truly regretted his actions. However, just 1 year later, he told the world that he was only scolded for telling the truth. This showcased the level of unrepentance of most sexist men in the country. Yoshiro's actions were just the tip of the iceberg when compared to countless incidents involving gender inequality and discrimination faced by Japanese women. Thanks to the former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who tried to change that and promoted the Womenomics policy. This sought to boost female employment between 2013 and 2020. His actions led to a huge rise in the number of Japanese working women. But the sad part is that the average income of Japanese women remains over 40% lower than their male counterparts. Also, in the job market, women are underrepresented. This is because less than 15% of senior roles in Japanese workplaces are held by women. This is low compared with 42% in the US, 40% in Sweden, and 15.6% in neighboring South Korea. Should we even talk about Japan's parliament, where only 1 in 10 lawmakers and ministers are women? According to the report, this workplace inequality is because the workplaces are still largely filled with older men. These men still believe in outdated views of women and employ traditional gender beliefs. It is, however, not shocking to learn that some women are being used for errands outside their job responsibilities. This is because these men still see them either as housewives or assistants who are to serve men both in private and in public. These perceptions of women run deep in Japanese society that a known medical school in Tokyo was found to have tampered with women's test scores for at least a decade. That was done because school officials wanted to limit admission and job opportunities in the field for women. They fear they might quit their positions after marriage. This belief that a woman's place is at home and that men do not have any reason to be involved in child rearing is the reason a Japanese minister taking a leave back on 2020 sparked a social media storm. On top of all of these problems is the case of sexual harassment at workplaces. In the government's most recent study on sexual harassment, 1 in 3 women reported having experienced such harassment at work. About 40% were touched against their will or asked sex-related questions. However, less than 40% of them actually filed a complaint, and of those who spoke out, 1 in 10 said they received penalties. This reminds us of a 2017 case of a freelance journalist, Shiori Ito. She made a rare move and publicly accused famous television journalist Noriyuki Yamaguchi of sighing her while they were discussing a job offer. Instead of focusing on the perpetrator, Ito was labeled seductive and was scolded for ruining Noriyuki's reputation. Number 3. Confined to traditional gender roles in marriage. As you already know, Japan's strong belief in gender roles does not favor women. The idea of men going to work has made most men see no reason to support their wives in taking care of the children and the home. This belief has a direct impact on the Japanese work environment. It is difficult for men to take childcare leave, and women find it hard to take management positions. According to the 2020 edition of the White Paper on Gender Equality, while the ratio of men and women participating in household chores is 1:1 when they are unmarried, the ratio increases to about 2.5 times for women after marriage. Since men know that the laws told them not to be involved in childcare and house chores, they don't do it. They leave it to women, and this can be attributed to solo parenting. This way, the cycle will never break, as the kids raised in such environments will also grow up to develop a sense of gender role division. Although the Equal Employment Opportunity Law, enacted in 1985, has given Japanese women equal opportunities to enter the workforce, the percentage of Japanese women in full-time employment is still less than 50% as of 2019. The wage gap between men and women is still very large. Also, the percentage of women in managerial positions is less than 10% due to the so-called mommy track. This makes it difficult for working women who are married or have given birth to receive promotions and raises. Also, women who returned to work after giving birth reported maternity harassment from their bosses or co-workers. This sends them into serious depression. These and more are the reasons why a lot of Japanese women are impoverished and not self-sufficient. Apart from women who stay home to prepare elaborate lunches for their children to take to school, women who chase careers are not seen as good or wise. Number 2. Struggling with single motherhood, a silent stigma. Another category of women that is ill-treated is single mothers. Although single mothers face a lot of judgment and stigma in different countries across the world, Japan decided to up the ante. The Japanese culture does not make it easy for women to work after having children, which is one of the reasons most are poor. However, when the former prime minister made a move to put an end to that, what he didn't know was that it would only make things more difficult for these women. This is all because women get irregular jobs instead of stable ones that allow them to work more hours. They are being tracked on these jobs. Therefore, they have limited time to work because they are mothers. These irregular jobs make them seek several other jobs to make ends meet, thereby taking a huge toll on them. Although the welfare system in Japan helps a bit, it is still very insufficient for an average family. With this, more than 15% of Japanese children live below the poverty line. However, among single-parent families, the rate hits 55%. This, in a big way, is setting Japan up for a future problem as poor children can't get higher education, so they end up with a bad job. If they have a bad job, they can't start a family, and if they can't start a family, they can't have children. As it stands, Japan does not have enough children. The country is currently suffering from a falling birth rate, and according to a study, the current population is set to drop below 100 million by 2060, leaving 1/3 of the Japanese to be older than 65 years old. In that case, the country may reach a point of irreparable loss in the future. Even though keeping up with this discrimination will eventually cost Japan a lot, the leaders don't seem to be bothered. We guess only time will tell the fate of this nation. Number 1. Career women versus homemakers. The ultimate dilemma. Over the years, there's been a conflict internally and externally about whether a woman should chase a career or cater to the home only. But with all said and done, the Japanese culture still does not smile at a woman who chases her career. They are, in a way, discriminated with the term kyorialman. This is used to refer to a Japanese woman who pursues a career to make a living and for personal advancement, rather than being a housewife without occupation outside the home. The term came into use when women who were expected to become housewives got jobs and went to the office. They are viewed as the counterpart to the Japanese salaryman, who initially saw this as a threat. However, in recent times, Japanese women have been forced to take jobs to help their husbands financially. Now the problem lies between chasing a career and having the time to take care of the home. The mentality of a typical Japanese man won't allow him to provide adequate domestic support for a woman at home. This forces the woman to remain at home to take care of the children. On the other hand, some housewives get scared and uncomfortable when their husbands offer to provide support for them in the house. They believe that the home is where a woman should take charge and do not want their husbands or outsiders to accuse them of neglecting their primary duties. With this, it is unclear if Japanese women actually want to work. According to a 2010 survey of single men and women conducted by the National Institute of Population and Social Security Research, most women plan to leave work after getting married. Some want to have children and then return to work after a period of child raising. 35% of women chose to return to work, while 31% chose to work and keep the home simultaneously. 20% of them wished to become full-time homemakers after marriage or childbirth. Only 5% wanted to remain single and continue working, and just 3% hoped to get married but have no children. The saddest part of this report is that many single women believe that they will be unable to get married even though they want to do so. This is because they have decided to get jobs before marriage, thereby making them older than the ideal marriage age by the time they are ready. There is also a category that wants to get married but not have a child. They believe that without having a child, they can be free to pursue their careers. That way, they won't be subjected to mother tracking like organizations do to mothers. In all, Japan doesn't look like it will truly embrace gender equality anytime soon, leaving us to wonder what will become of this great nation in years to come. Thank you for watching.